Thank you for tuning into the reading, produced by Black Spectrum Network. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell button to get the latest updates on this channel. If you want to receive these and other videos at least 1 week ahead of their YouTube release date, then subscribe to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Black Spectrum Network. We offer online courses that teach how to do tarot, create magical potions, and how to work with the ancestors, deities, and African Diaspora experience. Visit the Shrine of Black Epistemology at blackepistemology.com. If you'd like mentorship with me or one of our staff, book a mentorship consultation on our website at www.blackspectrumnetwork.com. Okay, so we're going to get right into this reading about Senora Tyler Perry. So I know that many of you all have probably watched at least one Tyler Perry film, and I want you all to let me know what your favorite Tyler Perry films are. My favorite Tyler Perry film is Madea Goes to See the Gynecologist, featuring T.I. He had a starring role in that show, in that particular movie. It released on Valentine's Day. And then my other is Medea's Got Gout. And some of the women from Married to Medicine appeared on that episode. Oh, not the episode, but that movie. All right. So what is his relationship like with Lee Daniels? Okay, so Tyler Perry and Lee Daniels are not really friends. There's a pompousness that Tyler Perry has, and I feel like this pompousness is because he has a Lee Daniels from these cards. It shows that basically like Lee Daniels is someone that looks for the white media to validate him, and he's looking for opportunities to be created through white media. And I think that that's where he and Tyler Perry depart from each other. I don't see much friendship between them because of those ideological differences between the two of them. It's about both of them seeing success. Both of them see Black success in different ways, and they definitely have two different goals for promoting what their Black success should look like. I'm also saying here that Tyler Perry feels that Lee Daniels moves too quickly when it comes to producing shows, and he's not thinking about his longevity. He feels like Lee Daniels is someone that capitalizes on opportunities right then and there, but he doesn't make the right investments into his shows. When it comes down to writing quality and content, when we think about Empire and like things that Tyler Perry typically produces, I mean, Empire went straight downhill. So these cards make a lot of sense that they can both produce shitty content, but only one of them has longevity, which is Tyler Perry, right? But it seems that even more so behind the scenes, the reason that Lee Daniels isn't as successful is because Lee Daniels approaches things trying to get validation. He's all about working within the system, and Tyler Perry is someone that feels he can work outside of the system. Tyler Perry is fine with receiving smaller amounts of money from multiple different corporations so that he can amass the wealth that he has, and Lee Daniels wants everything right then and there. It's just two different approaches. So Lee Daniels is someone that's comfortable creating shows, and then Tyler Perry is comfortable creating institutions. So they have two different mindsets, and they see things on two different levels. So I don't feel like they're actually friends with each other. I feel like there's a cordial relationship that's there, and one in which Lee Daniels doesn't want to spite Tyler Perry. I feel like I don't feel like Tyler Perry has burned bridges. I just feel like he has found alternative routes to essentially not trying to get validation from these different multimedia institutions versus Lee Daniels, who is still trying to pull funds from those places. So I'm going to try to see if there's anything else that we need to know about their relationship. But I see a lot of distance between them. I don't see much of anything in these cards that indicates that they truly care about each other in terms of, beyond, hey, you are someone that's on the same path that I am. Oops, that should not be in there. All right, so the cars are still speaking. The cars are saying that, and this is Tyler Perry. This is Tyler Perry. Lee Daniels is somewhere in. This is Lee Daniels. This is funny. This is Lee Daniels. This is how Tyler Perry sees himself. This is how Lee Daniels. Okay, so Tyler Perry sees himself as like, he sees himself as more powerful than he definitely sees himself as more powerful than Lee Daniels, right? He thinks that he's much more he thinks that Lee Daniels is charming, but also that Lee Daniels is lazy. He thinks that both of them can see through people in the Hollywood institution, but they go about doing it different ways. Tyler Perry is completely okay saying like, look, bitch, this ain't what I want. You're not somebody I want to deal with. While Lee Daniels feels like the status quo is what's there. They have two completely different ways of seeing life. This is Lee Daniels again from Tyler Perry's perspective. They've collaborated before on a project that did not go over well. And it was Lee Daniels' fault. I feel like Tyler Perry sponsored it, but I feel like it wasn't just Tyler Perry trying to be an executive producer. I feel like they were supposed to work on they were supposed to co-collaborate on a project with one another. It also looks like from what I can see here that a lot of this is that Lee Daniels doesn't really think about Tyler Perry. I don't think that Lee Daniels is that critical of a thinker. I think that Lee Daniels really cares about. I get that Lee Daniels is very integrated into like California culture where he'll smile in your face and not tell you what he really feels. I feel like there's a soullessness to Lee Daniels, while Tyler Perry has a much thicker, deeper energy. I feel like Lee Daniels is a lot more flighty in terms of, and flirtatious, and Tyler Perry is much more serious, more grounded, and cares a lot more about his public image, while Lee Daniels is a lot more versatile in terms of how, you know, the types of personalities that he's going to show. But they've argued with each other. And they argue with each other over how it is that Lee Daniels has tried to like maybe been a sellout, because this is the Jack of Diamonds here. And so I'm feeling like Tyler Perry is feeling sellout energy from Lee Daniels. And I also feel like that's another thing that keeps them apart from each other. So I feel like in public they can smile and say, hey, we're going to take this photograph together because we're both black men doing great things, but they're taking the photos from two completely different reasons. And I see that most of the distance is going to be on Tyler Perry's side. Tyler Perry is just like, Tyler Perry is just really hesitant about just, I guess you could say, getting close to Lee Daniels and considering and trying to consider him his equal. He's like, I don't know about that. All right, so why does Tyler Perry employ so many African American actors, writers, producers, sound effects crew, special effects crew? Why is it all black everything? Well, the cars are pretty much saying that the cars are pretty much trying to check me, and they're like, it's not all black everything. There are some white people in this too. He just has a quota that he needs to fill, where he's like, look, half of my staff has to at least be black. At least half of us have to be African American. And so I get that Tyler Perry's like, look, we can. He's not a game player, but he's like, in black people's consciousness, there are white people. There are some black people that think about white people, so he's going to employ them to kind of round out the culture of a show, or to round out the aesthetics of a show. I don't get that I don't think he's an equal opportunity employer, but when it comes down to it, he feels like equal opportunity hasn't been given to African Americans, so he feels like he is answering to that employment. So he's like, he has to overprioritize. He feels like he has to overprioritize hiring African American actors, or else he feels like he's going to participate in the status quo. But at the same time, he's not against employing other sorts of actors. He feels like he has to have a great blend of both in order for him to truly work within the system. But I also feel like he hires white people so that his shows can be palatable to them, and also so that he can receive grant money from to employ white people. Like it's all strategy for him. This is all strategy. This is saying, these cards are now saying that he's had good talent stolen from him, and he's had to steal good talent. But he feels like he feels like he's had good talent stolen from him in terms of like non-black people. But he's like, look, you know, the people that I'm employing, these black people, are going to stick with me, and they're going to stay with me because I treat them well. And some of his good talent that's been taken from him, those people left him because they wanted money. And I get that Tyler Perry is looking for loyalty in terms of like the creativity of a project. He's going to pay you well. Like money shouldn't be an issue when you're dealing with him. So I get this energy from Tyler Perry that he's someone who's very serious about hiring people. And it's just about hiring people, period. He sees himself as an employer. He aims to be a massive human resources institution. These next row of cards are speaking about. These next row of cards is saying that he feels like the African American community has richness that's untapped into. Like there should be more people fighting to employ African Americans because that's where the culture is. And then he's going to sell the culture. He feels like he's selling African American culture through the African American, and he feels like he's showing that the black dollar is very wealthy. I mean, that the black dollar is very powerful, and that the black dollar can bring a lot of wealth, and that the black body, and I hate to say black body, but let's say the black person. Let's not say black body because I don't want to dehumanize us like a lot of 1990s critical theorists do. But I do want to say that he knows that human capital, as far as the African American human capital, is very valuable. And he's tapped into that power for himself, and he's hoping that other people can replicate it, or he's at least trying to plant the seeds so that other people can replicate those sorts of processes. So he's not doing this just for himself. He's doing it for other people. I do get that he's going to plant other seeds so that he can help others to build smaller studio spaces. Okay, so how are y'all enjoying this Tyler Perry reading? Let me know in the comments, y'all. Hit them skull emojis. So what does he think about the criticism of his movies? You know, people often criticize the quality of his movies, particularly if they feel like the writing quality is not great. And because the writing quality is not great, his actors have a limited range of emotion and dialogue from which they can showcase a rich performance. And he's also criticized for promoting racial stereotypes in his films and his media overall. So how does he feel about that? Okay, he feels like he's done a lot of research into the science behind how to build a great business. He's not really as concerned about what people think about the content. He's like, it's my job to be an employer of people. And it's my job to... Tyler Perry is someone... I don't know if he's a Virgo, but I get that he works against the energy of perfection. And he's somebody that's like, look, it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be complete. So he focuses mainly on completion, which as a business person is very difficult to get other people that are employed under you to do things or to finish things, especially because they can be defiant. So he has focused mainly on being a great leader, and even outside of those criticisms, he just mainly focuses on the fact that his leadership is blessed, and his leadership is then rewarded through people putting their, giving him money for his products. So he's somebody that's like, look, these are some legitimate criticisms of me, but I'm also a great leader. So until you can criticize him as though he's not a good leader and that he doesn't run a good business, then that's a different conversation. He's a businessman at heart. And he mainly cares about employing people, and are they employed? And if you have a job, that's what matters. Just complete the job for me, entertain these people, and the money will continue to come. He has a very simple formula, actually, and it's something I need to take from. I'm gonna have to listen back to this reading so that I can draw a little Tyler Perry energy. Okay, so the other thing that I see here in these cards is that Tyler Perry feels like one thing that he will agree to is that he's overcommitted to to showcasing negativity in love and romantic relationships, particularly around like faithfulness and infidelity, sneaking and cheating, showing vice behaviors or pathological behaviors in his films. He feels that he's overcommitted to that, and at this time he wants to. I mean, if he could produce more movies, he wants to produce more movies surrounding the positive elements of marriage, but also to show like there are true hardships and trials in it. So there are some things that he would agree with artistically, but he would take people's criticisms and just say that, well, these are areas to start producing more content to round things out. I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. I feel like the quality of what I'm producing is good because people are paying for it. However, there are some different directions that I could go in based off of the suggestions that you all are giving me. So he's hearing it, but he ain't really hearing it. He's hearing it, but he ain't really hearing it. And that's a good thing because it's going to keep him business focused. So was he the reason that Monique the actress was blackballed? Monique is often talking about Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels, and Oprah being this holy trinity. This holy media trinity that worked together and conspired to keep her from making money. All right, so did Tyler Perry blackball Monique? I also know that Tyler Perry apologized to Monique and he blackballed her. Okay, Monique is telling the truth. Monique is telling the truth, but she's angry. And because she's telling the truth through her anger, a lot of people aren't going to listen to her. She's coming up as a Queen of Cups, so this is saying that her audience and her fan base will naturally be persuaded by the arguments that she's making, and that because the full moon is behind this Queen of Cups, it talks about her releasing her emotions into the universe, but also her being reflective about the things that she's releasing as well. So the more that people don't believe her, she continues hearing the negative feedback, she will be determined to prove you all wrong. So she's not going to stop saying what she's saying because what she's saying is true. He did blackball her, and the way that he went about blackballing her was not intentional. This was him operating off of he say, she say. And so he denied her a work opportunity that she was really qualified for, or he put it in someone's ear that she had been blackballed. He was repeating what he had heard, but he had no real reason to believe those things other than the fact that he was believing these things from people who were just as powerful as he was. He's like, my colleagues are saying this about an employee. Let me just repeat it myself, because it's kind of like, this is just what the industry does. He wasn't thinking, but this did have a tremendously negative impact on Monique, because the Fool card is saying that this forced her to restart her career. It is forcing her to restart her career. But with that being said, I'm also seeing here where Tyler Perry has offered in some way to help elevate Monique, or to put in a phone call or two for her. Now, if he's followed up on that promise, I don't think so, but I do get that he has made some promises to work to remedy those things for her behind the scenes. So let's see. What other tea can we get? All right, and the cards are still speaking. And the cards are saying that Tyler Perry prejudged her for the wrong reasons. He worked with her, had a lot of respect for her, but I also see that.
So fuel my fire, take me higher, I'll be your liar too. 'Cause when